So where do you usually watch the show? Do you get like advanced copies at home? Do you watch it with your friends and family? And what's the thing that's freaked you out the most that seeing it on screen for the first time just really disturbs you?
Well, I'm usually on set with Abby, obviously, and I don't get to watch it that often, but when I do, it's usually on digital, with artists, iTunes or something. Why do you watch it?
I'm telling.
We know.
Like, Tom, do you know what's going on? We're usually at work. Sort of, we hear about it occasionally. I think the last episode that was aired, I was off that night, so I watched it in bed. Sort of like in and out. I can't watch the whole thing. I have like that actor thing where I watch some of it and then I'm like, oh, it's my scene. I got to change it to something else. I was going to say
Exactly.
Change the channel. It's a lot of fun though. It's a lot of fun seeing what everyone else is doing when you're not there. Seeing like his work, the beautiful scenes that were in the last episode, and Luke, and like all the new characters that have been introduced. So that's really refreshing because you're sort of like, what else is going on in this world? And it's nice to just have it fleshed out. And I also think that helps when we go back to work to sort of see what's happening and how everyone is reacting towards it.
It's one thing to read it, but it's another thing to actually see what that person did with that moment. And we're all on such a crazy schedule; we're not always together. So that's
surprised you. Any examples?
Look, when I first saw the pilot, I was like, whoa, okay. It ends with something that I thought was super creepy, and I've been a fan of hers since, she did Express, so, which is a movie I really love as a football fan, so, it's been amazing to work with her and Tom, but the show's scary, but I think the shocking thing is it's funny. It surprises me every time to go from something where you're like, okay, all right, well, a little bit of pee shot out, just a little bit. Just myself and nothing, okay?
You started out on that.
You've done a lot of comedy in the past, but your character is pretty badass and very serious.
Yes.
Do you like that? Do you want to see maybe some of that comedy?
The comedy
with your character?
No, because I think that it's important, as Nicole said earlier, I think it's important for us to hold the premise to scrutiny. I think it's important for us it's a fun show, but I think the believability of it is something that she holds down so wonderfully. But I also think that's not
and it's what you do.
Yeah, it's what I do. And also, it's not what it is. I mean, when I go to a comedy, I go to a comedy. This show is not that, and this role is not that. So from an actor's perspective, I really feel like this is what this is, and I don't need it to be anything more than that. And he's not Orlando, he's in the
But you can also be like devilishly funny because the comedy is sort of bred out of the ridiculousness of the premise and what's coming to our doorsteps, what's sort of like landing for us.
I mean, look, part of the reason I stopped doing comedies, frankly, is because they became broad comedies. And I was always more interested in character-driven, reality-based comedy stuff. I was always a big fan of watching Tom Hanks make the transition from Bosom Buddies to, Big to what you see him do now, or even Forrest Gump, which frankly is not a comedy, but is a wonderfully funny movie. So I really liked when it's really grounded. So I think Irving says things that are really kind of funny, but he's not a funny person. So I like that he's not, you don't have to push for it and reach for it, and that's always fun to do.
Can you talk about Mad TV for a second? That was how you started out. I mean, talking about comedy sites, I remember seeing you.
Look, Mad TV sketch comedy show, different beast, it has very simple rules. Either you're playing some wild chicken guy, or, or you're doing, it's about the premise of something that's funny. So different styles of comedy, certainly. But, look, I think people don't know Robert De Niro now from Raging Bull. They know him from, Meet the Parents. Which is mind-boggling on a certain level. And I think that it's so great that we no longer have to pretend the audience is stupid. You guys are acutely aware of everything. You really understand what it is. And you really allow us to do different things. And that's really exciting to me. And I really enjoy that because I find her wonderfully funny. And it's going to be fun for me to see her in different roles where she gets to do that part of it. Whereas on this one, she's carrying so much of a really difficult balance, so it's fun.
And when will Abby interacting a lot with the fans?
Sure.
And sort of breaking down the fourth wall. So
What's it like being on sort of a cult show where people are that obsessed and wanting to talk about it?
I get to be a fan. I mean, I'm a nerd. It's not real complicated. Excuse me.
I'll get ahead of myself.
Yeah, so look, it's nice to break down the fourth wall because it was surprising to me that fans didn't realize that we're human, Trekkie just like anybody else, or a Star Wars fan or what have you. So it's fun to sort of break the fourth wall, and it's fun to know what the rules are, but I've always known what the rules are, so it's not really that hard.
And
I
he's
like the
kind of been like my
fanfiction.
entertainment papa. He's like, Nicole, so what you doing tonight? I'm like, oh, I'm learning my lines. He's like, do you have time to go online? What's going on? He's like, oh, it's gonna make me, I'm gonna be self-conscious. It's like, that's stupid. Connect with people. They want to know. So it's actually, and it's actually been really refreshing. I'm learning a lot. That's cool. And it's true though. No, like all mess aside, he really has been connecting us and showing us how important it is. And I think subsequently the fans feel closer and tune in and they care more and they have a lot of interesting questions and ideas and things that sometimes we're like, oh, we actually didn't think about that. Like, I'm working on the script all the time and I didn't think about that. So they have such great minds. It's great to connect with everybody.
Well, we don't own it anymore. The truth of the matter is it belongs to all of us. And that's the most fun thing about any version of entertainment, now that the mediums don't really matter. It's that we own this together. Your voice is as important as our voice. And not shutting that voice out is really, at least for me, what I wanted to try and do now that digital exists. Before you couldn't do it. And now you can.
I love the relationship, between Abby and Ichabod and how it's evolved. The first scene when he's in the cell, and of course the differences of culture and everything that he's unaware of was hysterical. But then watching the friendship develop a little bit too. I mean, the arc you guys were playing, just the first season is amazing. What's it like for you?
Thank you.
What's it been like for you to kind of take her on this journey with her sister now too?
I just feel so lucky. You do the pilot, you have no idea where it's going to go, if it's going to get picked up, and then no, we're still talking. I know, right? Big publicist. But the fact that I get a lot of episodes to connect and figure out what the differences are. I love that I'm a modern woman and he's from this other time, and then there are racial barriers. There's so many historic things that he hasn't seen happen. There are things that I'm not aware of, that he's witnessed. I just love that we have so much to draw on and that we both have so many resources as well at our disposal to sort of, conquer the demons or whatever. It's been great. And Tom and I actually, this experience parallels that in a way, because we have no idea what's going on. We've never gone through this kind of thing before, and it's happening so like quickly that I think it's very similar. So it's kind of close to our hearts.
Well, you guys are rocking.
I'm so sorry. I have to bring them up for shot. Just feel it.
Was your chemistry with Tom instant, or did they lock you guys in a room together?
No. Chemistry? What are you talking about? I still don't know what this is. We have no idea.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.